Welcome to The Story Thinker, a Webtoons and Witcher podcast for superfans with scene-by-scene analysis. Featuring sharp co-hosts for a fuller picture, we dive deep into character psychology, relationships, and theories. We'd love it if you could like, subscribe, comment, and rate us on all podcast platforms and social media. For bonus content, you can support The Story Thinker on Patreon. Let's begin. All right, everyone. We are in episode 10 of the Bleak Midwinter with Emily, and you'll just have to go back to episode 9 for our introduction to who Emily is. I'm not going to repeat it in every episode, but check out all our stuff in the links, and Emily is awesome. That's the short of it. All right, Emily, you were saying something about the painfulness of episode 10.
Yes, episode 10 killed me. That's a pretty general statement, but so I had the absolute pleasure of being the vocals for the track in episode 10. Additionally, I helped kind of write some of the melody of it, and I'm very, very honored. We named this song 𝗪𝗪, and I don't know if many people looked this up. Allie and I kind of have this fun habit of naming songs after untranslatable words, or words with just one very simple, thick meaning. This one is called 𝗪𝗪, and it means out of respect to the stars.
Huh, which is Latin?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, 𝗪𝗪.
So, yeah. Be warned if you end up seeing even more songs like that. The fun titles. If you don't know a word, just look it up. It'll make sense.
It does say that. Okay. Interesting. Cool.
Yes.
I learned a new word today.
If you want to read through these, you can be Anya or Delta, or I'll be Anya and Delta. I love.
What do you want? Who do you want to be?
I am Anya, but I love Delta. So.
Well, okay, so why don't you be Delta this time, because you're usually Anya, so maybe we'll switch it up, and I'll do Anya. All right, so we have, let me actually switch to my background to the one that is from this episode, because it is very beautiful. It's blue. It's, I find it funny because the city is destroyed, but somehow they still have the cityscape,
A lot of people wonder that. They're like, who's living there? Who is here? Did Delta turn on the whole city lights so Anna could see people? Who knows?
It's for visual beauty. Like I said, I don't expect everything to be perfectly explainable. Some things are just the plot or the aesthetics, and that's it. So she's sitting on the stairwell and looking out at this beautiful vantage point, the cityscape, and it's all blue. There's a lot of stars. This, lights. It's really, very pretty. And she looks very miserable.
Very tired. I'd say she's tired. I can go a lot into Anya episodes as we read through them, but I have a lot of her mental perspective just because I don't want to be like, yes, I'm in her head, but I've been voicing her for a year now, and I always feel like my perspective of her is very specific. But I feel like in this, how I acted this when I recorded it, she's very tired. Because this takes place right after episode 6. This takes place right after the whole blood thing, and she has a lot to think about. But she's also like, oh, that was a panic attack today. Haha. So she's just depleted, I think.
Yeah, that's a good word.
And your turn. Yeah. You should be resting.
I can hear the pleasure in your voice in doing that.
I have so much pleasure voicing sounds.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is going to be a long day.
Yeah, but he is at the foot of the stairs looking up at her. Yep, quite muscular arms, and she just looks at him. She looks chagrined. She looks very unhappy. And there's a close up of the two of them looking at each other, which I think is showing their growing intimacy and comfort with each other. They were obviously on two opposite sides. Even though Anya is a peacemaker and a conciliatory person, you represent the humans and the androids, but they're in this situation now where they are growing closer and understanding each other on a more sympathetic level.
I think it's weird. The way you said that kind of resonated. You think of it the first time they really kind of meet, very close together, episode 42, right before he puts her out. And the way they talk is not like two people with the inward experiences. You think of it she's the humans, he's the androids. But now you look at them on the staircase and you're thinking, here's one human with a very deep trauma, and here's another person with another very deep trauma, and their traumas kind of interlink, and they kind of see that kind of same tiredness within each other in this look.
Oh, are you a 𝗙𝗲𝗀𝗀 shipper by any chance?
I am the 𝗙𝗲𝗀𝗀 shipper.
Oh, okay. I must have been missing something. Sorry.
No,
I
it's
was not
me.
aware.
I'm like, Emily, what do you want for your birthday, Emily? Can you draw Delta and Anya as the Phantom of the Opera and Christine?
Oh.
No,
Okay, so this is your ship for this story, 𝗙𝗲𝗀𝗀?
Yes. So you can see when she was like, episode 10 will kill you. It did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it's interesting because I never shipped them together because I did not like 𝗙𝗲, but I don't I think there's I do think he takes a little bit more of a mentor type role. I think that he I don't know whether, obviously he is older than her, but we do know that, but he also feels older than her. So I don't see their relationship as being like equal in that sense. Although obviously Omega is meant to be one of the other male leads, you know, in vying for that spot, and they're similar ages, him and 𝗙𝗲. But whatever, 𝗙𝗲 just gives me a bit more of an older vibe. So I don't personally see that romance, but there's so much stuff going on and developing between them that I do understand that perspective. So
yeah, that's fine. You know, I see a lot of people who are like that. I know that perspective. I mean, I have my own thoughts. Everyone has their own thoughts. There's actually some people who are in the thought that Anya just has so much trauma. She shouldn't be with anyone. And I think that's perfectly acceptable. I think I have my own mental reasons for 𝗙𝗲𝗀𝗀, but like I'll get into it. But yeah. So they're at the stair and they're looking at each other, and her mouth is yes.
Yeah, and she says, I couldn't sleep. And you know, I think it's her hand. Is her hand or his hand?
It's his hand going up the stairs.
Okay. Yeah, no, I see it.
Neither could I. He says, neither could I.
And she looks shocked because he's admitting it's something very vulnerable to admit to someone. It's showing sympathy. It's showing you know, sympathy as in like the two of them are together, and like simpático, and it's showing vulnerability on his part. And it's obviously the beginning of a conversation, an emotional conversation. So for him to say that is something it's a very big step forward in their relationship. So Anya is understandably surprised, but she's also surprised at just the mere fact. And she says, "You require sleep?"
This is, I'll say this later, but I was just thinking of thought, but I'll say it after. So he goes up the stairs. I can go days without sleep. I've been trying to use what time as wisely as I could. And he comes up, he stands. And I was going to say, I think the use of stars is so beautiful because they're so, I mean, especially for the scene, because stars are so intimate, but at the same time, very open. Like, it's just such a large space, but at the same time, it just feels so intimate. I feel like in this conversation too, that just, it's what it feels like, and it helps. Just
well, people who are very close to each other, you know, go stargazing together. It's considered very romantic. It's very inspiring. Listen, this episode, if you're a 𝗙𝗲𝗀𝗀 shipper, right? Like, I mean, you like to see the two of them together.
This is, you got 𝗙𝗲𝗀𝗀 shipper #1, Emily, stamp of approval for this episode.
Oh, I feel like other people's vicarious joy, like when they're, because I know what it feels like. Let's say for me, it's like, let's say Loki, any Loki stuff is like, I go crazy. So I understand that feeling, and I'm like, I'm happy for you.
I get that. Wait, so we are here. We have a lot to go through. Big episode. So Anya's looking up at him as he's just standing there, and he's gazing
so wistfully.
It's so so tired. It's beautiful. Such a gorgeous expression from him.
Yeah. And she's gripping her wrists, right? And it's like, okay, I think she's maybe preparing herself for what she's going to say. And she asks him, "Do you remember the first person you killed?"
And he waits a moment. Yes.
Oh, and she asks, did it hurt you?
And he waits and he turns. Hurt me? How?
Oh. She looks up at him. Her eyes are furrowed in what looks like sympathy. I think it looks like sympathy and understanding.
I think it's kind of like she's testing the waters. She's trying to like internalize if it's really okay for her to say what she's going to say. Because what I think when I think of Anya, and I've confirmed this with Allie, like I think Anya's whole big thing is like she really is not comfortable talking about herself. she feels guilty. Like there's a guilt in talking. Like I said, like before, Ivan's thing is he hides himself because he has that anger inside of him. Anya feels guilt because with her family, like I'm too guilty to talk to Alexei because Maria died. I'm too guilty to talk about this going on because all the stuff's going on in the world. I'm too guilty to be sad that my soulmate killed me because whatever. There's so much going on. And now she's in a very small place where she can, but she still like has a hesitancy about her where she's like, can I really be vulnerable without feeling guilty for dumping my emotions on someone else?
That's
But somehow she's like, I think I can. And she opens up. And I think that the way he validates her through it is beautiful.
Yeah, Delta this season has just become, I call him like Delta, therapist Delta. I don't know what happened to him from season 1, but he is like understanding, encouraging, like affirming. I mean, I don't know what happened to him, but he's like just kind guy number 1 here.
Oh yeah.
And she looks down and she says, before you picked me up, and her hand is shaking, there was an accident. It was so chaotic and loud, and we kind of see a flashback.
This is from episode, if I remember correctly, 39. If anyone's curious.
Yeah, and we just see what looks like androids and blood, and it's just, we don't know what happened, right? But that's specific. That's specific to 39. It's when they're standing at this pole, and it's right before it crashes. Galina and Ivan are on separate sides, and someone's coming up to her, and it's the first time. Yeah, sorry.
Shooting.
It's that. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. No, it's good. Your encyclopedia's here.
Okay, thank you. Yes. And she says, I killed someone. She looks so distressed. She's holding her hands to her heart. She's looking down. She looks so bad. Poor girl. She says, and now it's like there's this weight inside of me. I feel sick all the time from within. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I just keep seeing it over and over again. It's so pathetic, but.
And he quickly stops her. Well, I want to say, like, firstly, once again, her whole thing with guilt, like, she's like opening and like, I feel bad. I feel sick. My head hurts. And then she thinks, wait, I've said the word I 5 billion times. It's so pathetic. I'm sorry. And he's like, stop. It's human.
No, he's so validating. I don't know what happened to him. He went from like psycho spine ripper to Mr. Supportive. I really
the feralness I felt upon seeing Delta squatting for the first time should not be talked about, but I want to acknowledge that it's. But I feel like for some people it's hard to conceptualize Delta being like this as opposed to season 1, because you're like, you see him like this in season 1, you're like, who the hell is that? And when I have people who ask me that, I have to say, like, think about him not only as how he treats humans, think about him as how he treats his brother.
Right. That's the only person that he displayed any sort of compassion and love towards.
Yeah.
And a little bit the other androids you could see.
Yeah, and it could be some kind of response to his trauma. Like, you can only really let yourself. It's like a cat. You have a cat with PTSD. Like, they don't like being displaced. They only trust one person. They're gonna lash out at everybody else, but the one person they trust is the one person they protect and love, like, unconditionally. And Delta has always been like that with Omega, with the androids, about his family. I will rip everybody apart to keep you safe. I care about you. Are you okay? You got shot. And like you see in like 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗏 when he goes and gets his brother, and there's like this huge amount of concern. He's always been it comes off as like angry and sadistic and like a war general, but at the same time, I think he's just a very broken person whose violence takes over. And to get into the whole thing, when you see things like episode 4 with Beta's philosophy, which is, it's dubbed Beta's philosophy, the whole thing is, I'm Beta. I don't think humans should be trusted because they treat us badly, so we should treat them badly. And that's what he picks up. And I think this whole persona that you see with him and the androids is just Beta's philosophy that's overtaken him. But inside of him, you can really see like the true him and how he interacts with his family. And now Anya, I think it comes through. It's just, it takes a bit for it to come out. Kind of like, Groundhog's Day, where the groundhog comes out a little time and it goes back.
Okay, I guess... I think I said this before in a previous podcast, but like for me, even if you have had bad things done to you, that should not justify you then repeating those bad things to other people. And Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll be honest, like the real reason that it's so personal to me, I think, is because a lot of most of my family are like Holocaust survivors. And they
No,
went
me
through,
too. Me too.
yeah, so they were, they went through extreme abuse and torture. And they didn't come out wanting to kill like all of humanity or even the people that did this to them. And, they went on, most of them, right? Obviously, not everyone was like that, but most of them went on and they were kind, wonderful, great human beings. And I just feel like to have that response, because I grew up with people who went through that horror and didn't become monsters, I expect better of 𝗫𝗫, I don't,
Yeah.
I think that if you are upset that someone did something to you, don't go now do the same thing to random people just because they're from the same race.
Yeah. I argue though, I mean, I've gone through the same thing, and I'm not going to say our perspectives like have to be the same, because I've had my uncle was in like a concentration camp. Like I don't know half of my family lineage because it's all been killed, and it's very close to me. My dad's clergy, and I have a very deep connection. I remember going to Holocaust museums. But I argue, like, if you feel this way of 𝗫𝗫, would you have different thoughts than Alexei? Because I know 𝗫𝗫 does this, as we've learned, the androids do this in retaliation to fight back, and it's not purposeful. They're doing it because someone tried to kill them and scrutinize them. It wasn't them first. But do you feel the same way towards Alexei?
I mean, obviously, I have no soft feelings in my heart for Alexei at all.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of the same, I think, for the two, just because those are their perspectives. However, I think differing from Alexei, he's not, like, 𝗫𝗫's not here saying, I'm going to kill your sister because you killed mine. Whereas Alexei says, I'm going to kill your sister and rip her apart limb from limb just because she happened to be there. I think that's the difference between them. I don't think he likes these things. And as you can see in this whole episode, he cares for humanity. He cares for humans. And as you can see, he's humoring because she's a human, Like, you're human. It's human. It's acceptable to be this way. I know his actions are terrible, and I'm not saying, like, his actions make him hot. But I'm saying I understand where he's coming from based on this. It was circumstantial. I don't think he feels good about what he did either. I don't think he revels in the fact that he's killed people.
I don't know. I will say, I think there's a lot bit of a difference between season 1 𝗫𝗫 and season 2 𝗫𝗫. Season 1 𝗫𝗫, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I'm not the encyclopedia, but I'm pretty sure I recall him saying things like, who cares about these humans? Kill them all. I don't care. Like, I really see him being completely heartless towards humans and just really not caring at all about them. And if anything, holding a grudge against the entire human race. And in season 2, he's suddenly reasonable, kind, sensitive. And yes, we've only seen him interact with Anya. We haven't seen him yet, like, with anyone else. But I do think it's a bit of a switch. So
from what I recall in season 1, purposefully in season 1, in the episodes he does appear in, things like bloodletting does show him against humans, but he doesn't, if you think about it, he doesn't actually torture them at first. He asks for information kindly before something happens. He doesn't actually say, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna hit you first, then ask questions later. He says, please give me this information, then I'll hit you. And then with the humans, they weren't the ones who actively tried to fight first. If anything, he went into that whole confrontation in the episode at 18, like, okay, you're going to give us the humans? Good. No one's going to fight? Good arrangement. He didn't even fight back until Alexei tried to take the kill shot. And I think that's interesting as well. Then you think about other things with humans, we get told stories about how he's this thing. We get told this all the time about how much he hates them. But you're seeing it like through the lens of Alexei telling Anya this and how she's seeing it because Alexei told her this, not how he actually is. I think that's where it comes from for me.
I don't know. For me, the spine ripping episode was just very.
It's gruesome.
That was the big thing. That was like, okay, like you're on my hit list. I'm gonna try to forget about it because he's really nice this season.
Yeah. But different strokes, different folks. But it's understandable. But I see where you're coming from and you're valid.
Yeah. No, I like him a lot. I love him. This season, he's fantastic. I really like him this season. But it's hard for me to forget the season 1.
Oh, yeah. But where were we? It's human. Yes. There's a stark difference between cold-blooded murder and self-defense, Anya. You should not confuse the two.
And she's like, displaying signs of nervousness, like touching her here and her ear. She's looking hesitant about accepting his words. And she asks him, does that mean you always hated humans? Given what you are? Did you write it off as self-defense too?
And that strikes a nerve.
Oh, yes. She clenching. I love that she clenching. It's nice.
You see how he directly chooses not to reply to the self-defense comment and just says, no, I didn't hate humans. So was it self-defense? Does he think it's self-defense? Question.
That's a good
And he
point.
says, no, I didn't always hate humans. I was a bit like you once.
Oh, it just does tug at my heartstrings. It really does. And he's opening up to her a lot. I can.
And you see episode 4 where he's such a caring brother and he's like, I believe in hope, brother. I believe in mother's vision. And now he's like, I was like you once. It's sad.
It is.
And he says, I believed in my mother's vision wholeheartedly, that we could coexist, that our mission, our purpose, was to help humanity, that we were the next step in human evolution. Not inherently better, simply next. My older siblings, Alpha and Beta, did not believe this. They were the first of our kind. While technological advancement has always been a point of pride for humanity, my siblings were met with an equal amount of wonderment and distrust, scorn. My mother did the seemingly impossible, human and machine, perfectly married. But what does it mean to be human? Many saw the creation of my siblings as a violation of what it means to be human. We were deformities, neither fully machine nor fully human. Soon many were calling my mother Lady Frankenstein. Never mind the thousands that she could have saved. The people her heart bled for, the chronically ill, the poor, the children. All those souls pleading for mercy. My mother cared for them all. My mother wanted to solve it all, for the betterment of mankind. But others, too many, saw her creations as a threat, or an opportunity to weaponize us, a profitable opportunity. Charge thousands for what my mother wished to share freely. Human greed and fear knows no bounds, Anya. Don't feel guilty about this accident. If more people were so broken up about taking a single life, then perhaps this war never would have happened. And that's a giant monologue. Yeah, did you want to say anything during all of that?
Yes, I have some questions. First of all, I love the visual representation of, the mother and with the roses, and then, she pricks it and the blood comes out. It's really perfect timing. Do you, my assumption was always that Zoe is Anya's mom. Do you hold of that?
I don't, purposefully, because she does seem quite older here. But I think it's because...
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like, does she naturally have white hair or is it old? Like, I could not tell. Her hands don't look that old, in my opinion, but I don't know.
I always think there's some kind of odd relation between Zoe and Anya. I always do wonder what it is. I don't think it's motherly, though. But it is curious. Because I know Allie and Kat are very, this isn't, me knowing things other people don't. I think it's been shown, at least in the public Discord, Allie and Kat are not big fans of we're marrying people in the family, even though they're not related. They're raised as siblings. They're not gonna be together. Some people in the Discord were like, oh, you could ship Delta and you could ship Gamma together because they're siblings, but they're not blood. And people are like, oh, no, absolutely not. And Kat and Allie literally went in the Discord and they were like, no, shut that down right now. So I don't see the opportunity. I don't see the potentiality of that, just because that's what I've seen. But I do think there's a lot of odd potentials about the actual relations between Zoe and Anya. I feel like there is something there, but I'm not sure what.
Okay. I always assumed that because of way back in season 1, one of the first episodes where Anya goes in and you see her family and we hear the TV saying, oh, Zoe's been missing for years. And we know Anya's mother is gone also. So that was where I made the connection.
I always do wonder how many years that is, though. Because I'm still trying to make a proper timeline in my head. When the war started, when did Zoe get killed? When was Beta killed? When was Alpha killed? When was Zeta killed? Like when was the timeline for this all?
It wasn't, I know the war started like a year after she went into Dreamscape, right? So that would be 24 years ago. I think that's the only thing I know.
Yeah. It's so it's like I'm doing a reread right now. I'm currently on like episode 8. I'm trying to like book everything so I can make a proper timeline. But I'm grasping at straws. It's well written, but I'm grasping at straws. But yeah, there's this whole thing, and I think the beauty of these plants is so gorgeous. Like she's taking care of the plants are so like beautiful of a representation. Like I'm taking care of these plants. I'm taking care of these humans. I want them to flourish, but they take from me. But I don't care. I want them to thrive. So she's like pleading for mercy. She's feeding these flowers, but they still take from her, and they take her blood.
Yeah, well, I see it as the outside people, right? Who obviously your creation is a threat or want to profit off of it, or to weaponize people. Yeah. And Anya's reacting very, she's a very attentive listener. You see a lot of sympathy in her face. She's really taking it in. And then she looks so miserable at the end. She's just really downcast. And, Anya is someone who probably recognized these traits in humanity before, right? She's the one, she didn't like it before. She didn't like it with Alexei's camp. She tried to make peace. So he's talking about things that she believes in and she has seen.
Yes. And sorry, my brain is like zipping for a second. We're at the tell me the more you tell me, right?
Yeah. And she says, the more you tell me,
inner conflict is normal. Your history has all but ensured your distrust. You didn't distrust androids, that you'd believe your brother unquestioningly. But it's never quite so simple. I always think that's interesting, because I said this to Norman in the session. I was like, he's really just calling out the fact that her perception is getting very skewed right now because she's only seen what Alexei has told her. It's very rose-tinted lenses, very like rose-tinted glasses. She's not seen the whole world. She's only seen this one perspective of the humans. And it's only what Alexei's told her. And I'm not going to be that person, but I'm going to say this. Literally everyone in Anya's family has gaslit her. Mostly Alexei. Like, Maria, it was you. You killed me. Alexei, it was you. You're the one who, you killed Maria. So I think she's seeing, like, I think this is the first time she's finally feeling her own perspective on something. And he's saying, it's okay to have your own conflict. I know you trust what your brother says, but you should try to believe what you think yourself.
That's pretty incredible. What Delta is doing here is very profound. It's very validating, very affirming. It's like I said, quite astounding that he is treating her this way.
It's weird in comparison to like episode 21 when she's with Omega, and the end of 21 he's like, the humans were the ones who tried to kill us. Delta never affirms these things. Delta never tries to push forward the agenda that the androids are the good guys. He just says, it's never that simple. It's never as simple as it looks. So he's not really trying to pose that anyone's better than anyone else. He's just saying it's never quite as simple. I think that's neat of him.
Yeah.
So they sit on the staircase again, and he says, how strange. I haven't sat down like this with a human in years.
You guys were at war again. And she asks, she is resting her hands on her knees. Does that make me special?
And I said this, like, I said in my session with him about how this was like a joke. Like, he's joking with her. Like, this is my one chance to get you to laugh again. Like, oh, on the contrary, if I were you, I would be running for the door right now.
Nice.
And he says,
she smiled.
I'm weak for that. Oh, that moment. Oh, yes. My little dead heart beats in my chest. And she smiles for like a split second, and it's not even like a happy smile. It's just like I'm having a good time. Like, really? And that's like, I feel like that's a chance to see the real Anya, because it kind of shows itself when she's in the bunker. She likes to play around, like that moment in episode 30 where he's like, has anyone ever told you you're peculiar, Anya? And she's like, no, people usually say I'm 10. Like, she's sarcastic. I think as a person, she's like usually like sarcastic and bubbly and funny. And this is the one time it shows that. And I think it's like sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet.
So she gets surprised that he says that, and she course, returns back to, oh, I hate myself.
Yeah, it's very flirtatious what he said. I think if I'm going to be a little bit bishopy, he like she smiles. Yeah, that's
my
flirty.
agenda. It's working.
Listen, I'm one of those people actually with most webtoon romances, or if I wouldn't categorize this as a romance necessarily, but I'm fine with like whoever the characters end up with, because I just like romance. I want them to be happy, you know, like they'll be what it'll be. So yeah, so if it is 𝗫𝗀𝗃, I'm fine with it. Like it's okay. Ivan has to find someone else too, because I want him to be happy, but I'm okay.
Ivan could find you.
Yes, you can write me in as a character. It's okay.
I think there's this game I like called 𝗕𝗹𝗲𝗍, and there's like 4 romance options. One is Luke and one is Vin, and I'm like, Luke for the protagonist, Vin for me. So it's like Delta for Anya, Ivan for me. That kind of person. Yeah,
I'm perfectly fine with that. You can put a Mindy in there, Russianize my name, maybe Miranda or something.
I'd say Misha, but Misha yes. So Anya looks like, oh, what?
And she's like, I wish it could be different.
And he gets up. There were many nights when I wished for the same thing.
What changed? Oh, what happened to Delta, who hoped for androids and humans to coexist?
And in this moment, it comes back. That protectiveness, that darkness comes back. And such a fast switch, and it always hurts me to see. It even more than like excites me when I saw it, it like hurt me, because I'm like, Delta does not want to be like this. Delta doesn't want to be like this. And it comes out, and he just, that whole defense mechanism, you know, it's like Kieran, the whole, I am darkness on the surface and I let it out for 2 seconds and I'm letting it back in. The second someone thinks I'm a monster, I'm going to show them I am. That's my thing for webtoon men that perceive themselves to be monsters through other people's eyes, when actually they're just deeply traumatized individuals. So
yes, I hear.
He says, he died.
With that grin
At your
back into
the 9 stages of grief. That I'm gonna make that glow when I edit it. I'm gonna make his voice actor was like, "Are you gonna make it glow, Emily?" And I'm like, "Yes."
That is, by the way, like you said, you know what? When Kieran thinks he's a monster, he has blood on himself. Delta, when he thinks he's a monster, he becomes inhuman with his glowy eyes. So I think that's a good parallel.
And it's the smile. It just gets me every time. Like
it's a fake smile. It's like it's so painful that he has to pretend that it's the opposite. He just puts on like, the exact opposite emotion.
Weirdly, it's like he's pitying her for like saying it. Like it's laughable to tell her, like, oh, he died, killed by your brother. Let me get the whole thing. He died at your brother's hands. Your brother hunted down my little sister, Zeta, and tortured her to death. Oh, that episode killed me.
Yeah, that's confirmation of what a lot of people suspected, that Alexei was the general.
I want to get into one thing before we get into analysis of whatever that was. One comment needs to be acknowledged in the top comments, and I would like to say this because it deserves to be said. SunCloud58, now would be a good time to reunite Alexei with the cheese grater. Absolutely the best time.
Yeah. Yes, Alexei.
Oh, my feelings for this man.
I don't know. It's bad, man. It's bad.
So do you have any thoughts? I mean,
I am grossed out by Alexei, obviously. I feel bad for Anya because it's her brother and she missed out on 25 years of him being presumably a jerk. So last time she saw him, he was harsh to her, but we don't know how he was before that. And it was a funeral and like it just died, right? So like, you know, we saw his behavior being harsh, but we don't know how he behaved before, and we know that he was under stress, right? So we like didn't have much about from pre-war Alexei. And then we see him now and he's harsh and he's ill-tempered and he's pragmatic to the point of shooting his own sister. Like, but okay, like nothing was vindictive or cruel yet. It was just maybe very just harsh and tough. But war does that to people, and horrible circumstances makes you more. You can't be so tenderhearted. But this is a level. This is not good.
Yeah, it's a level of just not okay. I mean, especially when you see Zeta in episode 4 and you're like, oh, I want to protect her. She's so passive. She just wants to help. And they're like, oh yeah, your brother tore her apart.
Oh, she's so nice. I feel so bad for her.
Like why her? Why that one? Why'd you choose that one? Why is that the one you chose?
For dramatic purposes, to make us feel sad.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't put it past Dolly and Kat. If you guys are watching, thank you. Yeah, they thrive on pain. I wouldn't say they're like Soph and F, where they're like, I'm gonna drink my readers' tears, but they're more of the, I love them as people, because they're like the kinds of people that will read the Discord chats of people talking about like the fast passes, and they're gonna be like, interesting, you guys think that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in terms, I read a fair bit about storytelling, and obviously if you want something to matter, you have to make the stakes high. You have to, do the opposite of what people expect, right? The fact that she's a good person, she should deserve a good life, but instead she received the exact opposite. That's what makes it so horrible. So yeah, they're doing the right things. They're killing us.
But I think this is one of my favorite episodes of any webtoon ever. There's so much storytelling, so beautiful. It ties for me with episode 6. It's just one of my favorites.
And it's physically beautiful too. I love the stars. Yes. It reveals a lot about 𝗪𝗪. Definitely does.
It does. It reveals a lot about both of them, actually, I think. Because it reveals a lot about how much she's willing to let out. How much I feel like this is the first time Anya's really vented to somebody besides Ivan, at least in episode 15. But she only did somewhat. Like, this is the first time she's really been like, I did this. I feel bad. I feel sick. I feel disgusting. I can't sleep. I can't eat. Like, she's just a closed little cage, and let's tiny little touchies inside. But it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. All right.
Yeah,
Do we have anything else to say on this episode?
Delta hot.
All right.
Anya beautiful. Anya beautiful.
I have to say I appreciate it because I do this podcast with a lot of different people, and obviously I am very much also the kind of person who will comment about the character's physicality, but I sometimes feel guilty for doing that excessively. So I appreciate that. It took up till now for you to say Delta's hot. So we focus on the character.
Delta hot. I tried. I was holding back.
Yeah.
You don't want to know what I was like. I recorded my live reaction for Ali when I read episode 1. And I think if I recall, it was just me screaming every single panel that came out. Like the one with him holding that "You're coming with me, little rat." And I was like recording my reaction. I was like, oh my God. Look at him. There it is. That I'm fine. I just love fictional men. And it's okay. It's valid.
I'll tell you why I think we do, because real men are real people, and then they have like flaws, and then we have to interact with them, and then we have to like work out things, and like they make a mess and blah blah blah. So that's why I think it's easier to fall in love with webtoon men, because they don't have any negative impact on your life.
Yeah, they're just
right. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna pause this episode now. Thank you to my current patrons: Suzie, LadyLibris, Lily, Molly, Veronica, Emily, Jo, Rochelle, Saucy Toggles, Anna Rose, Alexa, Misty, Joanne, 𝗵𝗲, Esther, 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗹𝘆, Emily, Jean, Jen, Kay, Lily, Beckett, Christine, Sadie, Teresa, Mrs. Castaldo, Nitty, and Emma Cora. Your support is truly appreciated.